welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for your comment. Sorry for doing that. There's
Tensions inside the European Union are rising as disagreement grows over a proposal to use frozen Russian state assets to finance Ukraine's war effort. Slovakia has taken a firm stand against the plan, while several other member states are urging caution, warning of legal, financial, and systemic risks for the bloc. Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico has made it clear that Bratislava will oppose any initiative that channels frozen Russian funds into military support for Ukraine. According to Fico, further arms financing would only extend the conflict and increase the human cost on both sides. He stressed that Slovakia would not back measures that, in his view, contribute to continued bloodshed rather than a political solution. Roughly $300 billion in Russian central bank assets were frozen by Western countries after the escalation of the conflict in 2022, with a large portion held within the EU. Since then, debate has intensified over whether these funds should remain immobilized or be used as collateral for a proposed reparations loan to support Kiev. The issue is set to come to a head as EU members prepare for key votes in the coming days. Fico, a long-standing critic of the proposal, recently reiterated his position in communications with EU leadership. He argued that continued financial and military backing risks, prolonging the war, while expressing frustration that discussions in Brussels remain focused primarily on funding rather than on reducing casualties or ending hostilities. Slovakia has indicated it is prepared to block any decision that directly supports Ukraine's military expenditures. The dispute extends well beyond Slovakia. A group of member states, including Italy, Belgium, Bulgaria, and Malta, have reportedly called on the European Commission to consider alternatives to seizing Russian assets. These countries have suggested options such as EU-backed loan facilities or temporary financial mechanisms that would comply more clearly with international and EU law and reduce long-term risks. Belgium's position carries particular weight, as most of the frozen Russian assets in Europe are held there. Belgian officials have warned that outright seizure could undermine confidence in the EU's financial system, encourage capital flight, and expose member states to costly legal challenges. Similar concerns have been echoed by Germany and France, while Hungary has openly rejected the plan. Despite the growing resistance, the European Commission has moved forward by invoking rarely used emergency powers to keep the Russian assets frozen indefinitely. By framing the issue as an economic emergency rather than a sanctions matter, the Commission can rely on qualified majority voting, effectively limiting the ability of individual countries to block the decision. While some states supported this procedural step, several emphasized that it should not be interpreted as approval for the eventual use of the assets. They stressed that any final decision on redirecting the funds must be taken at the level of EU leaders and carefully weighed against legal and financial consequences. Opposition voices have been blunt in their criticism. Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orbán described the move as unlawful, while Fico reiterated that channeling tens of billions of euros into military spending would only extend the conflict. From Moscow, officials have condemned the plan as illegal and warned of retaliation. Russia has already launched legal action against Euroclear, the Belgian-based clearinghouse that holds a significant share of its frozen assets. Together, the two developments highlight a widening rift within the EU. As pressure mounts to sustain support for Ukraine, a growing number of member states are questioning not only the legality of using Russian assets, but also the broader economic and political consequences for Europe itself. With critical meetings approaching, the debate is shaping up to be one of the most consequential internal disputes the EU has faced since the conflict began.